I've been a reader since I was about 3 years old. I was an only child. Actually, my husband was an only child too. So we, I think as children, always thought of books as our friends. I think there's almost no room in the house that doesn't have a collection of books. We have to move every few years to have more wall space. It's like when we turn the lights out at night, they reproduce. My son was a reader too. He was an only child. It was 2 years after he died that we decided that it seemed like a very good memorial to him to provide other people with information that he couldn't readily access. I'm Patricia Cliff, and this is the Kenneth Johnson Memorial Library, which I founded in memory of my son. Kenneth was diagnosed after high school in the 80s with bipolar disorder. There was very little printed material that was easily accessible. It frustrated my son because he was always looking for an answer or understanding. It's amazing how many families have some connection. Many people are really affected by these illnesses. I think that most of those people would find rewarding information here. There was a book that I found after he passed away called It's Nobody's Fault by Harold Koplowitz. It was such a comforting book because it described all kinds of illnesses that manifest themselves in young children and emphasized that it wasn't a parent's fault. I found that hugely comforting, and I thought, gosh, if I had been able to read that, 5 years earlier. Harold wrote another book, More Than Moody, about teenagers with depression, and really described the difference between ordinary moodiness and children that are in danger of harming themselves. Important books for parents. There are very few books here that are depressing. I think most of them are rather uplifting. Andrew Solomon's Noonday Demon is, I think, one of the most beautiful pieces of literature that I've read. It's written by someone who suffered from depression. He's such a gifted writer that it's a book that you start reading and you don't want to get up until you've finished it. Eric Kandel is a Pulitzer Prize winner. His book, In Search of Memory, was a combination of a book about the brain and a book about his own life. I think when you're feeling either depressed or like you have a relative who's depressed, the first thing that the family feels is isolated. These books bring you into an arena, in a world where you suddenly realize, I'm not alone. Some of the best books that I've read this year are the books that we selected as winners for our Book Awards celebration. There was a fascinating book written, The Brain That Changes Itself, by Norman Doidge. It reads like a thriller. Lots and lots of science, but brought down to the level of someone who is not from a scientific background. It shows that brains can heal from all kinds of things, from mental illness, from schizophrenia, from dementia even. And it's a marvelously hopeful book. And then for the very first time, we chose a young adult book, because we felt that there were very few books that were really approachable. We found a wonderful book called Get Well Soon by Julie Halpern. Something I enjoyed about Get Well Soon was that it was written from the perspective of, a 15 or 16-year-old. And I think we've all forgotten what it was like to be that age. It's very self-revelatory, and that's what I mainly enjoyed about that. I think that the gift of the printed word is one of the finest things that you can give anyone. It has a lasting value. People that use this library, it comforts us to know that we're spreading something, we're spreading information. It's the best way we found to memorialize my son.